Okay. All right. 11:02. We'll get going. All right. Thank you all for coming. So today we're going to be talking about real-time supplier performance monitoring and doing it without pain. As the subtitle says here, you're already collecting the data in most cases. So what we've done at Vendorful, our focus really is on improving all aspects of your supplier relationship. And an important part of that, from my perspective, is giving you insights into supplier performance and making it as easy as possible. The best way to do that is to make use of the data you've already got and you're already collecting about your suppliers and unlocking that when you get more value out of it. So that's really the motivation for us building out the product that I'm going to describe to you today. So with that, let's get into it. So I probably don't need to explain the value of real-time supply chain visibility. I think everybody gets this. There's certainly a ton of content out there on the internet about it. You can just do a quick Google search and see tons of different products, tons of different analysts talking about it. Lots of different blog posts, etc. This is just, a random collection of things I, quoted from, or took screenshots of just from some quick Googling. The thing with supply chain visibility is it's really focused on tracking your stuff, right? So where does a particular shipment live? When is it going to arrive? Is it, currently tracking on time? When's it going to get to the place I need it to be? And that's obviously extremely important for managing your operations. Your organization probably has significant investments in supply chain visibility already. Anyone who has an ERP system has an investment in supply chain visibility. So, I'm calling that basic supply chain visibility, not to suggest that it's not important or that it's not valuable, but just that's kind of sort of the baseline. Just basically having the system to track and give your operations insight into the total picture of your manufacturing process. If you're a manufacturer, where all your materials live, inventory levels, etc. So, those systems are obviously continuing to evolve and, depending on your particular implementation, may give you varying degrees of visibility to varying people in the organization. But that is kind of the baseline for supply chain visibility. There's also a lot of emerging supply chain visibility technology that people are very excited about. And that, covers, it's a very, very broad category of things, ranges, from Internet of Things. So, actual sensors, kind of, automatically tracking where, containers are, temperature of, particular shipments, all of those kinds of interesting data and kind of advanced technology around tracking actual products and shipments, to more virtual things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, sort of drawing inferences about the status of your supply chain based on direct data from your ERP or from your suppliers, or third-party information about news and events and things like that, kind of bringing it all together and performing intelligent analysis. Digital twinning technology, yet another variant on sort of modeling the world and sort of understanding, getting better insights into your supply chain. But then also things like the actual execution of transportation, robotics, autonomous transport, blockchain for recording, the status of materials as they move through the supply chain. These tend to be things that people think about as execution, but they are also generating a tremendous amount of data about how things are moving through your supply chain. So there's all this investment to track shipments in real time, to get sort of more and more insights, earlier and earlier insights into potential problems. The thing is that what we find is that data is mostly ignored once a shipment arrives. So shipment, you're tracking, your operations manager is, tracking something as it sort of moves through the supply chain. It's something important, so they're on the phone to make sure it arrives, and spotting problems early, trying to deal with them. Then it arrives, and the sort of record of what happened with it, whether it was on time, whether there was a quality issue, it's in there. But you tend, or in our experience, organizations tend not to analyze that data with the same level of urgency as the tracking data. So maybe you look at it once a month, once a quarter, once a year, and do some sort of broad analysis. But the question we were asking is, what kind of trends could you reveal about your suppliers today if you were tracking it and analyzing it in real time? How valuable would it be to see that information immediately, instead of waiting for quarterly review, waiting for an annual review, just tracking it as it happens and automatically updating insights into your supplier performance. And I just want to sort of emphasize what I'm talking about here is the performance aspect of this. So yes, having the data on where things stand is, where particular items stand is super, super important. But understanding early trends, sort of at a broader level, what is happening with a particular supplier? Is this shipment kind of late because of a one-off issue and let's not worry about it again? Or is there a real problem that we're starting to see with a trend in the data that we can actually start acting on more quickly? So this slide here is showing Dr. Eloise Epstein's famous spider chart. Most of you on this call are probably familiar with it. And, as she always emphasizes, the important thing here is not the logos on the chart, although everyone in my space wants to be on the chart. Happy to say we're on the chart. Really, the more interesting thing is, what are the categories that are on this chart, and how are the categories changing from period to period as she updates it? And one of the most striking things to me about this most recent iteration is I count at least 4 different branches that are about measuring supplier performance, possibly up to 7, depending on how you individually kind of think about things like SRM or supplier intelligence, things like that. But at a minimum, there are 4, which, as far as I can tell, is the largest sort of thematic grouping of any kind of disparate solutions here on this chart. So it really emphasizes that supplier performance is a critical piece of your procurement and supply chain tech stack, but it doesn't quite get the same real-time attention as supply chain visibility, and that's what we're looking to change. So from my perspective, supplier performance is too important to put off to a QBR. I think you really want to get insights as early as possible. So I think this is the last slide I have here. After this, I'll kind of hop over to a little demo. And the goal here is to integrate with your existing systems, usually going to be an ERP or MRP system, could be some of those advanced SCV tools that we talked about if you have them. And the idea is to sync very, very low level data, shipment level data in real time, and then transform those individual orders or shipments into quantitative performance metrics. So aggregating over time, like this particular shipment, that particular shipment, drawing the inferences and collecting that data into an aggregated metric about supplier performance that is updated in real time as each shipment is updated, and then build KPIs on those metrics. And then, sort of the thing that then turns this from just a data collection exercise into something actionable is, very simply just setting up alerts based on performance thresholds. So anytime performance, say, material acceptance rate is trending below whatever minimum threshold you set, maybe it's 98%, then trigger an alert to relevant stakeholder. And that's it. It's sort of so simple that I feel almost a little bit dumb that I'm about to give you a little demo of it, because it's kind of it's going to be kind of underwhelming, because really the important investment here is in the ERP system. The important investment is in collecting the data. All we've done here is provided a means for aggregating that data, linking it to a supplier record, and then giving you insights from it, which is a much smaller technical problem. So with that, I'm going to jump over to demo environment. Give me a second here. Here we go. Oops, hold on. I screwed that up. So let me do a fresh share. Okay. That's better. Okay. So very simply, all you're looking at here is a demo environment where we have set up a couple of custom metrics. We call this feature metrics. And really there are two aspects of this that are important. One is the definition of the metrics themselves, and the other is the integration with whatever data source it is that provides, that feeds these metrics. So this is all customizable, configurable. We've got some representative examples here, material acceptance rate and an on-time in full metric, but it can be whatever. Could be sort of a combined metric, sort of designating a shipment was received on time and of acceptable quality. Could be separate. There could be additional metrics. You could have different metrics by category. And very, very simply, we basically link to whatever sort of classifications you have in the underlying data source around the particular shipments and particular information you're tracking and how it's classified in your ERP system or whatever system is tracking the data. And then we basically allow you to sort of count those data points and sort of figure out which designate which of them are going to be the the item you actually report on. So it could be sort of a positive metric. You want the material acceptance rate to be, in this case, the accepted rate to be above 98%, or it could be the inverse, right? If you're tracking a negative rate, like you want the rejection rate to be below 2%. So you've got that flexibility for however you want. And then in addition, setting these KPIs. There could be additional KPIs, but setting the sort of performance badges, if you will, for what's good, what's bad, what's acceptable but not great, what's exceptional, as the case may be. Again, all of this is configurable, customizable. An important aspect of the way we've approached this and the way we approach things in general in Vendorful is we think you shouldn't have to engage professional services to make pretty basic changes to what you're doing. So this is all user configurable. We have customer success available to help you, but if you want to add additional metrics, you can just add additional metrics. If you want to change any of these or add additional classes, this is all doable through the user interface without having to engage consultants or anything like that. And now this is where I start to feel like a little bit dumb almost demoing this, because that's really it, right? So then on the other side, the bit of magic is the API connection to your ERP. If you are using an on-premise ERP and you don't have a live API, that's fine. We can take in a flat file through SFTP or other metric in whatever frequency you're able to produce the data. And then from that, essentially this information turns into performance metrics that get associated with your suppliers. Oops, let's go back to 2022. So, real-time, supplier performance data, sort of updated as you go. And importantly, then, the other piece of this is as the data feeds in and is updated, sending out the alerts that I talked about for early warning system on when a metric you're tracking is starting to trend below the critical threshold you set. So in this example here, our system has sent out an alert to Dan that Acme is now in violation of threshold. They've set a threshold of 98%. Sort of on the the most recent data ingest has which was just a few minutes ago, set that value below the threshold. It's 95.6%. So you might want to take some action on there, and there's a link to go view it. Likewise, an alert went out to a different stakeholder for a different supplier, for Aperture Labs, that their on time in full now is trended below the 90% threshold, and their material acceptance rate has trended below the 98% threshold. And so some action might need to be taken there. And that's it. It's it's almost a little bit silly in its simplicity, that really all we're doing here is giving you insight into the data you've already got in your ERP system that typically procurement struggles to get access to, or the vendor management teams struggle to get access to and be able to act upon, and letting you act on it in real time, and start to not have to wait for major manual data collection exercises on a quarterly, annual basis, etc. So I promised I would try to keep this under half an hour. I've gone through my spiel now in 19 minutes. So I'm going to go into Q&A, and I've got a couple of questions that have come in. So one is, someone asks, we use different metrics for our business. Can we create new ones? Yes. So sorry, I guess I probably shouldn't have stopped sharing my screen. Let me go back to that for a second. So like I mentioned, this is all user configurable. If you have data to support additional metrics, you can create additional metrics. So it's as simple as adding, maybe for indirect, we could do IT, like we might do uptime, say, and then from uptime, we do very simply, we could have is the system up? We'll call that green. We're gonna make this positive metrics. We'll report on the positive value, and then red will be down. Is it down? And then you basically can set your threshold here for what's an acceptable level. Maybe for for uptime, it's going to be like 4 nines or something like that, and then set your KPIs. But yeah, so that is all customizable. Another question came in. Can this integrate with Jagger and or Oracle? Yes. So we use an integration platform. We have built some integrations ourselves, but figured out that the easiest way to scale integrations is use connectors that other people have already built. There's a variety of cool systems out there that have existing connections to thousands of major software systems. So we use one of those platforms to connect Vendorful to yes, Jagger and Oracle, but also SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite, Workday, and drawing a Epicor, name the system. I do occasionally run into some sort of obscure ERP systems that don't have out-of-the-box connections, but if there's an API, we can connect to an API. Okay, so let's see. So next question is, can you apply different KPIs to different suppliers? I assume you mean by category, or I guess it could be individual suppliers as well. The answer is yes. So we can basically have, you can have as many metrics as you want. So most typically we see our customers doing like 1 to 2, but it could theoretically be 5, 10, 15, whatever. And if you are not collecting data to feed one of those metrics for a given supplier, then it just, that metric won't be applied to that supplier. We just kind of handle that automatically in the data feed. Okay. Another question here. What happens if we have multiple ERPs? That is a good question. We have a customer who's not linked into metrics yet, but they have 8 ERP systems in different countries, and that's fine. The key thing is if you are able to identify a unique vendor identifier in each ERP and collect the data. That's it. I kind of answered this one already, but just reiterate, our ERP is on-prem and has no API capabilities. What can we do in that case? So we have the ability to handle flat files, and really just becomes a question of how frequently the data export happens on the ERP side, or what timing is appropriate. But yeah, that's certainly doable. I think this one came in before I set up that example about uptime. Someone asked, looks cool for direct materials. I manage technology vendors. Is there anything like this for indirect categories? The short answer is yes. It is completely flexible there. We actually use it ourselves. We're sort of our first beta tester for tracking performance of our IT vendors. We're a software company. Our important vendor relationships are our important suppliers are our IT suppliers, and so we use this to track their performance. Now, so far Google's been doing fine; hasn't been an issue, and that is all I've got in the queue. And so I will stall for 30 seconds and give any last minute questions a chance to come in, but I will start signing off. Thank you all for attending. This recording will be available. I believe you will automatically get an email with a link to it if you are interested in viewing it again. And yeah, that's it. So thank you all for attending. I don't think I properly introduced myself. This is terrible. I need to do more webinars and get it back in this habit. I'm Pete. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Vendorful. Pleased to meet you all. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.